I don't believe it. That's Clone Force 99.
This is Wrecker, Hunter, Echo, Tech, and Crosshair.
Obviously, we are different.
We're all you're getting. Ha! We're all you need!
They call themselves the Bad Batch. Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations.
This is one meeting I don't want to miss.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Dad Batch Podcast, Episode 8. My name is Steven Schultz, and I am your host in the pilot seat this evening. And, of course, with us, as always, the other Dad Batchers, your space daddies. First up, from the sandy beaches of Diego, he's on the lookout for some Sour Patch zombies. It's Joe Lara. How are you, buddy?
I need to get some of those. Everybody's been hitting me on Instagram. Go get those Sour Patch zombies.
That's real?
Yes.
That's real.
Oh, I thought he was just being funny. Okay.
No. So last year was Sour Patch Frankensteins. They had like little bolts coming out the neck. And yeah, so now it's zombies, but I'm going to get some. Dude, I'm doing well. That's a long intro and a long way to say I'm doing well.
How was your week, man?
It was good because I got to see this boy John right here on the weekend. Anytime I get to see one of you guys, it's good, right? Went to Scum and Villainy. I had never been to this cantina, this place, this establishment where they serve libations and other refreshments, and it's on Hollywood. It has this reputation of everything Star Wars, right? But in a bar. And I said,
space themed bar.
It's a fandom bar now.
Yeah, but there's definitely heavy.
It's very Star Wars. Yeah, it's very
right.
Star Wars.
It's I would say 80-20 Star Wars.
Anyways,
Anyways,
safe.
If I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go all out. Right? I don't do anything half ASS. So I walked in full TK and I said, John, full TK, brother. So we went and it was pretty cool because I mean that reception was kind of cool when we walked in.
How was it? So the two of you are in full TK, and were you guys with anyone?
We were. My beautiful bride was a full Fennec Shand, and then we met up with BK Brittany. She had a Ursa Wren full get up, and so we went 4 deep into that place. And as soon as we walked in, everybody's like mouth dropped, and they're like applause and
we got like an ovation. No one stood up, but it was like a clapping. Everyone started clapping, and like
some people are standing already. So.
They were they were stumbling too, but. It was good energy, man. Like they weren't expecting that. I mean, it's a bar. It's got this cool theme, full blown costumes walking.
Well, back in the day, we used to dress up there all the time, and I'm not sure what changed. Like the mood changed a bit, and now a lot of people don't. But it's always encouraged. Like JC,
I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. We got to meet Kiefer. We got to meet Kiefer and Anna, and they were there as well, which is really cool.
Yeah,
so we brought my daughter Levi
was
in there
too.
when she was like 11 or 12.
Yeah,
multiple times. They'd always go, "Oh yeah, she needs to leave by like 9," but it would be like,
"You guys are good parents. You got it. You're under control."
She was eating tater tots, like running around in a Jawa costume, having a blast.
I still have my coin. From when the first
one, I do too.
Yeah, I do 2017 coin. Yeah,
you get a discount. JC, who owns the place, I guess you get a discount.
I have the first 2 coins somewhere.
Damn,
same.
I want a coin.
I'll give you one, Joe. I have 2. I'll give you one.
Ooh, yes.
All right. Well, that's cool, man. Next time that you're going, give me more advance notice, and I'd love to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up, he's more machine than man, but he won't let you valet his car. It's Raimi Shanaday.
This is true. That will haunt me. Hello. Thank you for the intro.
Crosshair doesn't let his car get valeted either. So
neither does Hunter, but
I've never been a fan.
It happened to Echo, so
yeah. So last Thursday had the had the privilege of getting the opportunity to go see the first 3 episodes of Andor. I think we're going to get into that maybe a little bit later. And then on Saturday, had a troop, and so I get there and I was doing my Beskar version of Din Djarin. So
Saw that picture.
The Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. So got to the troop, got all kitted up.
No helmet.
I have a little bit of a routine that I go through where at the end, right before I put my gauntlets and gloves on, I'll get my helmet out and set it somewhere, because once the gloves are on, it's a little hard to like go digging in a bin or a bag or whatever. So I got everything lined up on the table, and I turned to go get the helmet and realized I'd never even packed it. It's
no.
And I'm a solid, I'm a solid 2 hours away from home. So there's no way I'm like, and like everybody's like, oh, just go to Target and get one of the Black Series ones. I'm like, good luck with that, because I've never even seen one in real life, let alone been able to go get one. And what was funny is I had my the helmet here that I got from Alpha Ignition here.
Yeah, I don't sell those anymore. Those are CTI Studios.
Yeah, CTI Studios, right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Yeah, it's from me. Who cares?
Steven. This predates all that. So I had that, but there was no way that I could, like, it wasn't trimmed out or anything. I pulled out a silver Sharpie and started drawing on it just to see what would happen, but there was no way I was going to get it ready in time. And so everybody at the troop was like, who cares? It's like, we're in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's going to care. Like, you still look like the Mandalorian anyways. I'm like, and so I'm outside in the parking lot, kind of mulling it over. And there's this, they had golf carts. It was a parade. So they had golf carts. They were driving people back and forth to the start of the parade with. And, they had balloons on them. And one of the balloons had flown off of the golf cart and was bouncing around the parking lot. It just so happened to be a silver balloon. So just being a smart aleck, I went into my truck and I got a black Sharpie and I drew the little T-visor onto the balloon. And I had it under my arm, and I come walking back into the room. I'm like, I'm ready. Let's do this. And that.
Oh man, big dude.
And I'm like, don't think I won't march that entire parade route with this balloon in my arm. And half the people at the parade probably wouldn't even know the difference. And so
that's hilarious.
We're outside waiting for a bus to come to pick us up, to take us, because the parade route started at the other end of the road. And there was this kid chasing a couple balloons around that were his, that had fallen off of the thing. And I tried to get one. I had the Darksaber with me. I tried to use that to kind of bounce it up in the air so that I could catch it and hand it to him. And one of them popped. And then one of the other costumers tried to pick the other one up, and the second one popped. And when the second one popped, the look on the kid's face was just like,
defeated.
Like, I mean, it's like this 12-year-old kid, and he's trying to sit there and figure out if it's cool enough to cry in front of these players, because like you could tell, like he was like,
it hit him.
Crushed. And so I held up the one that had the T-visor drawn on it, and I'm like, and I mouthed, I'm like, want this one? And he's like, yeah. So I gave him that one. He was stoked. He was running around showing everybody, look, I got the Mandalorian's balloon. Boom. So I wouldn't have had that story if I hadn't have forgotten my helmet. So in hindsight, it was all worth it, because that was a pretty cool little moment.
Love that story.
Dude, that's so cool.
So the picture on bouncing around on Facebook with me holding the balloon, that was the balloon. I guess I should post that to Instagram.
Those stories happen at troops all the time. I mean, not like that exactly, but awesome stories happen at troops all the time.
Yeah. But I will never live down forgetting my helmet ever.
That's the worst feeling ever. The worst.
Well, you are a Mandalorian. No more.
Dang. I guess I gotta watch season 3 to figure out how to get back in.
The baths.
You got to bathe in the waters of
Lake Minnetonka. Oh, okay.
Lake Mandalorian.
All right. Next up, he loves Chrome. It's Chrome member John Rodriguez. How are you, buddy?
Hey, doing good. My week was quite eventful. Like Raimi mentioned, we went to see Andor, the Andor premiere, which was rad. We'll get into that later. Worked a bit, painted some stuff here. I wanted to give a quick shout out to David Neth, Meganeth66 on Instagram. He makes these really cool helmet stands here. for people that are watching on the video, you can see this Bad Batch one here.
Oh, that's rad.
So
Yeah.
cool, so cool.
Pretty
Stainless
neat.
steel, right? I think,
Yeah, it's like
Is it-
steel, and yeah, it's super.
Is the skull with the 99? Is that acrylic or is that steel
No,
too?
it's also
Stainless.
steel. Yeah. And it's like
Wow.
water jet cut. I
they're
think.
legit.
Yeah,
I remember he
it's
brought them
steel.
to you guys at Celebration, and they're so sick.
I have
Nice.
3 of them now. They're awesome. But he's doing like a charity thing. He's selling off the remainder of his stock, and all of the proceeds are going to charity. So if you guys want to check out, the helmet stands are awesome. So it's a win-win for you.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're awesome. So right on, check them out. And yeah, and my week was good. Worked Andor and hung out with Joe, and yeah,
Butt cheeks, John. Butt cheeks.
what is that? What?
The parking lot.
Oh yeah! Whoa! Yeah. So yeah, Joe apparently is goes
No,
commando a lot.
I mean, dude, you didn't even say that.
Well, it happened.
Now this week's episode is going to have the E tag on it.
Explicit content.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Dad Batch podcast. That's it
It's
for
our
us
last
this evening.
episode.
Good night.
No, yeah, and like Joe said, we dressed up as stormtroopers, and I accidentally brought my thick undersuit, which is like the one from Trooper Bay. It's like a thicker
piece?
cotton sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's made for the winter. It's not made for.
Well,
It's hot.
I don't know. So yeah, so I lasted like an hour because I was just dripping sweat. I'm like, man, it's so hot in here. And we were just standing there, and he's like, I'm fine. And I'm like, oh man, you're wearing your neoprene. Like, I'm wearing this
summer, man.
thick cotton suit thing. I'm like drenched. I'm like, I gotta change out, dude. But then I was able to like video him and the rest of the homies walking out. So that's cool.
That was cool. It was a good time, man. I'm definitely going to do it again.
It was fun. We should do
100% gonna do it.
Mandos or something, or
Oh yeah.
Dude, man,
because then you can take your helmet off and also
Man, that makes me miss. We've had some good times there.
roll
It's
out,
been
buddy.
fun.
Come on
Yeah,
out.
no problem. I'll be right there.
Eventually, a weekend, you got to come visit. But yeah, good.
Next up, he taught Boba Fett all about the quactas and the stiflings. He's got another toothpick. It's Dad Bane himself, Brian Cook.
Oh, I was going to get.
How are you, sir?
Knock some up. I'm good. I actually, before I forget, I wanted to. I mean, I'm sure everyone has this story, but forgetting something at a troop. So I saw a picture of that troop, and I saw Raimi, and he was like on the side, and everyone's in costume, and here's Raimi, like with no helmet on. I'm like, what is he wearing? And I was like zooming in, like making the picture bigger, and I'm like, he has Din on, and he's not wearing a helmet. Like, that's an interesting look.
That doesn't look like Din, so it's like, it's not going to work.
It was funny you forgot your helmet, but I love the story of the balloon. But I did the same thing one time. I went to a troop and I was Vader, and I forgot my chest box. And I literally was like, I can't do it. Sorry. It was the same thing. I was like an hour and a half from home. I was like, it's just sorry, Darth Vader.
Dude,
and that
certain
was like,
characters cannot miss anything.
yeah, you can't go out
just
as Vader
can't.
without a chest box.
No.
You're like the dude, and you're missing like one of the biggest pieces. And I was like,
The most iconic. Everybody's seen it. You
I
can't.
guess I'm wrangling. Sorry, y'all. But that was a bummer.
I know how you feel because I did the Disneyland parade. What was that, like 5 years
Yeah.
ago, 6 years ago?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
And I brought my Plo Koon to do the parade.
Ooh.
And I'm getting suited up.
I remember.
I was getting suited up, and then I'm like looking around for my Jedi cloak, and that's when I realized I had left it at home 2 hours away. So
Was that day one or day two?
that was day 2.
Oh,
So super sad.
That was
Super
when I was
sad.
Vader. That was when I was in Vader, so I was in the front. Sorry, you were in the back. I didn't know what was going on.
But I got to make a lot of friends with Disney people that night, so that was
Yeah.
cool.
That night, those were fun. We're gonna have to talk about that one sometime.
So the advice would be for anybody that's going to troop, make a checklist. And
Or just put your
It's gonna
stuff away.
happen. I mean, it's gonna happen. But other than that, I'm good. My wife Tori, Death Watch Girl, she was in California visiting her parents for a few days, so I was on full dad mode for the past week. It was cool. Got to do a bunch of fun stuff with Levi, which was rad. she's been learning to drive, so I've been cruising around with her a little bit, having her drive us both to school so I could drive home. So that was cool.
Speaking of doing dad stuff, like, I mean, I'm sure you've all experienced this. There's certain things that our kids will do with us that they won't do with our spouses.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just whether it's conversations, whether it's activities. Like,
Whoa.
I know when they were younger, I would come home from work and I'm exhausted, but as soon as I got to, walked in the door, I'm the jungle gym now. Now they just want to jump on me, right? There's certain things they do with you, and it's just kind of cool, right, to have that.
Yeah. It's always a good time to have some one-on-one time.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. And then here we are.
My son got my son who's in kindergarten, he got his first ever birthday invitation.
Oh, sweet.
Invite.
Birthday party invite. And so, like, he didn't want to open it. It had a seal on the back, all super fancy. And so, like, he didn't want to open it until he came home. He wanted to open it with us. And then so we open it, and the itinerary on this thing is like 8 hours long.
What?
And there's like activities broken up for every 30 minutes.
Gosh.
And I'm like, I don't remember this being the birthday parties when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was like, show up and there's pizza.
Yeah.
Bring a gift.
Bouncy castle, maybe. Yeah.
And a pinata, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have bouncy houses when we were little. It was pinatas. Pinatas was as fancy as it got.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My cousin got a bouncy house, but I didn't.
One of the cool things about this party, though, is that it's a costume contest party.
Oh, rad.
Are you going to wear Predator?
We're super prepared.
That's in the bag then.
Done.
So I told, okay. So we always like raise our kids to be better than us, right? So as soon as I'm reading this out and I said, ooh, costume contest, I was like, I'm going to wear Vader and I'm going to kill everybody. My son says, Dad, contests aren't always about winning.
Ooh. You shoot that
And
wisdom.
I was like,
Wow.
I looked at him with like pride for a moment. And then I said, shut up, son. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Are you going to dress him up as Predator, or how's that going to work?
I don't know. But I was proud.
Oh, man.
I was proud of him in that moment. So that was kind of
Oh,
cool.
that's nice.
Very sweet.
Thank you again, everybody, for tuning into the podcast. If you'd like to interact with us more, follow us at DadBatchPod on Instagram. And of course, check out our t-shirts and merchandise at thedadbatch.com. Gentlemen, you know what's up.
This garbage is nothing like clone armor.
Looks a little tight on you, old man.
Yeah, at least I know how to wear it.
That's right, everybody. It's time for the weekly workbench. All right, guys, who is working on what?
All right. I painted a feral predator. I think it was last week. I don't know if we spoke about it or not. But did we talk about that? No, right?
I don't think so.
I made a guess that it was going to be in a certain color.
Well,
Just saying. And I thought it was obvious, but
You considered chroming it when you started painting it.
Okay. So yeah. We haven't spoken about it again yet. Yeah. So yeah, I did end up chroming it. Like I said, I wasn't going to do, and then I sort of said I might.
I love chrome.
Yeah, but it was just because it was already there and it was getting covered up. Most of it was getting
Because you
covered
just
up
got
anyway.
Illuminati, you're just laying around, just buckets of it, just sitting
I
on
actually-
the floor,
I
like
used-
wherever.
I didn't use a Lumiluster. I used shrapnel, which is like a more dull, less mirrored chrome. But I just had it out, and I figured, I'm like, let's just see what it looks like, and it looked cool. But I ended up painting over most of it and finished it. And right now I'm working on some chest armors. One is for me, maybe, I don't know, because I don't know. But one of them
those
is for my
colors you
buddy.
chose.
You're just painting stuff.
Pretty rad.
Yeah, the blue and yellow one's going to my buddy John, Sabers Forever.
Oh, okay. He's making one?
Yeah, he's building a Mando, and I'm helping him out a little bit.
Rad.
But I messed up the other one I painted that was red and like sort of like gray or whatever. I tried to weather it and didn't realize that the paint I used had reducer in it, and it just kind of like started rubbing the paint off and like taking it off. So I was like, crap. So I just took all the paint off from everything and redid it up to the metallic. So I'm going to leave it and maybe mess with it tomorrow. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Cool.
Yep. And I worked on my hair. I got a haircut.
I mean, that's part of the workbench for sure.
Yeah.
That is definitely the workbench.
That's an aggressive haircut for you too. I don't think I've seen your hair that short ever.
You lay it on the rubber and you get an X-Acto knife and you just kind of,
Yeah, just cut around it. Yeah.
So
He
when do you
uses
chrome it?
the laser cutter.
We'll see. I have to gloss it first. We'll see how it comes out.
Dude, have you ever considered
Floby. Remember Floby? It was a vacuum attachment.
have you ever considered like G.I. Joe cosplay? Because you could be a good Destro. He's all chrome, dude.
Yeah.
More Sergeant
yeah.
Slaughter with what he's got going on right now.
Right now, Sergeant Slaughter. Just needs the sunglasses, right?
Yeah. But no.
Aviators and you're good.
None of that. But yeah,
Sweet.
that's it.
I can go. I can go next.
Go for it.
So I posted on the Instagram, but I finished this beautiful.
Describe it for our listeners.
It's Stormbreaker, the real one, not the one that gets talked to. But I'm so stoked on how this came out. This actually, like, I generally kind of rush through builds. I'm just trying to get stuff done as soon as possible. But this had some challenges and obstacles that I had to get through. That I was pretty stoked on how I was able to address those problems. And then that rust paint that I was talking about last week, it just came out so awesome in here. And it was just more of, like I said, my plan of how I was going to cover up some crappy 3D printing that I didn't want to sand. And interesting enough, I watched Love and Thunder again, unfortunately. But in the very beginning, when he plants Stormbreaker in the ground, Stormbreaker is all like rusted and like in all the cracks. It's like weathered, like it's seen some stuff. So super stoked on how it came out. So just wanted to show it off a little bit here. It's heavy. I don't know. It's awesome. I probably need a Thor cosplay now, but that's a different story. I've been resin printing BD1 for Levi, my daughter, and I'm almost completely done with all the parts. Looks phenomenal because I resin printed it. I did have to shrink it down to 90%. I'm not going to show any of the pieces. It's almost done. Resin printing so awesome. Thank you, John. The supports are so easy to clean up. And it was cool because I told Levi, I was like, all right, you're going to help me sand these because it's so simple. You just sand off those little points,
nubs. Yeah,
the little nubs, and it's super easy.
And they come off really fast.
They come off so easy. And she was like, yeah, I'll help you. So she she has like a custom colorway when she was playing Fallen Order that she wants to paint it a certain way. So she already has the paint concept. So as soon as I'm done printing, which I think the last thing is on the printer right now. Really looking forward to painting that because I 3D printed it, or because I resin printed it, and then I did FDM for the head, so the head would be lighter, and then the whole bottom half is heavy, and that came out pretty well. And I sanded that more than I usually do because it wasn't that big, and I felt like Joe. I was sitting there with my 1-inch square piece of sandpaper, just sanding it.
I use more than 1 inch.
There are some lines, but not where where they should be. So it's not that crazy. So I'm super excited to start working on that. Yeah. And work on that with Levi. And then I've been sitting on this is from Crossfire Props. It's a realistic like Bo-Katan blaster that I had originally had bought for Levi for Star Wars Celebration for her custom Mando. Just didn't get to it in time, and it's been sitting on my workbench. I finally glued it together. It's a amazing kit. He's definitely printing with a smaller nozzle size than me, so the detail is like super clean. The price was right, and it's funny. I do, even though I have my own 3D printer, I do purchase props from different makers sometimes, just because I don't want to put a bigger nozzle on my printer, or I think someone has a really nice file. So I like it when I do that, and I kind of feel like John, because John's always buying like things from other people. And
well, yeah, I don't have my print. None of my printers work, so I don't have a choice. Yeah.
Crossfire props. I mean, this is a great. I want to say this thing was like $30 or something like that,
Dude,
and it was
that's who I got my
kit.
That's who I got my Predator mask from.
Yeah.
Same
like,
dude.
This kit
Andrew.
was like, it was like $30, and it was a bunch of pieces with like a QR code to instructions, and you just CA glue it together. I mean, it's really nice. So it's not going to need very much sanding. Not that I do that anyways, but yeah. Oh, and I'm working on something else for Omega, but I don't want to talk about it. So there you go.
All right.
I've been printing too. Last week I said I didn't have a Phase 1 animated helmet, and so I made it, and it felt like it was kind of big, right? But when I measure it to, is it Atlas Co? Is he the guy that makes? It's a really good maker.
Yeah.
He does cast, yeah. And so I have the Phase 1 realistic, and when I put them side by side, they're about the same size. It actually is okay, but I think what caught me off guard was the how it flares out at the bottom of this.
That's animated. Animated flares out.
But the size is pretty good, and so I was kind of worried, man. This thing's too big. But no.
Yeah, put it on. Let's see it.
So I used to have a Phase 1 Commander Gree, and the helmet is substantially bigger than what you think. Like it flares out. That's the style of it.
It's freaking huge, man.
That looks pretty big, actually, though.
But
It's pretty big.
but it's proportionate if you have like armor on him.
Yeah,
He's got his armor on the shoulders.
That's true.
Buck out.
This guy's pretty
True.
big too.
Yeah, but that's realistic. Realistic is different. So
Worst case scenario, you can leave it orange and make it a Halloween jack-o'-lantern.
hey.
But it's fun to print one, and I didn't have one, and I mean that's the beauty. When the printer's working, you better print. And so
Print.
right now, right over my shoulder, I'm doing another Mando chest plate. I saw John working on one, and I felt like my current one is a little too big, and it is for my liking. So I just downsized it a little bit. I don't know what percentage. I just kind of eyeballed it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's on the printer right now, and that's what you can do. You can make your own stuff easily.
Yeah.
Don't say easily.
Dude.
Doesn't have to be good. It's easy to make.
On Saturday, I spent most of the day helping a friend work on her TK. So she had the opportunity to try a TK on. Isn't in the 501st at all. She's in the other clubs, but had tried someone else's TK on and kind of fell in love with it. So ordered one, got one. Helping her get it kind of sized out and trimmed out, and kind of all the pieces cut and trimmed and sized to fit her. Because if you just build these things where the lines are, you're walking around basically with a bunch of bamboo wind chimes on, and just
That's my favorite part, is making kits fit people.
Yeah,
I love it.
And so if you take the time to make it fit, and you have to kind of think about the big picture when you're sizing this piece, you have to know how it's going to line up to the next piece down, and so that it doesn't, because people's bodies are not always uniform, and yet you still want this thing to look like a TK when it's done. So that was fun. It had been a while since I'd worked on a TK, so I mean, I know.
But once you make a TK, once you make a TK, I feel like, because that was the first thing I built. And
was it?
Everything else after? Yeah, I was because I was in the process of building Vader. It's like makes everything so much easier. And then when you do another one, it's easy.
It's
like
a rite of
not
passage
hard.
too.
Yeah,
at least for the
totally.
501st, right? And in this day and age where it's not that difficult to just kind of buy something that's already done, you're earning respect by building it and understanding that process too. So
I love that kit so much, man. I love it.
Working on a new helmet. So I got this. I actually this is heavily modified, but working on this for my kind of custom Denizen character. So the files were from a maker, Jake the Maker Shop on Etsy. I like the style. It's very reminiscent of kind of the original Ralph McQuarrie, like that you can see over my shoulder in the video. So it's got that Ralph McQuarrie concept where it's got the little mouth breather down here instead of the full T visor. And this one's got. Now I actually asked, this one wouldn't work for the Mando Mercs because there's not enough of this vertical section on the visor. It would have to come down farther. But what I did do is I cut all of this out of the files so that when I printed it, that wouldn't be there. And the original model had sort of a ribbed pattern that went down along here. I'm going to kind of replicate that, but with fabric. So it's going to look like somebody took like the sleeve off of a snowspeeder pilot. You know, it's got that ribbed kind of quilted fabric down the sleeve. It's going to be orange, and it's going to look just like that was inserted inside here. And then I'm going to use the same stuff that Brian got to make the rust. And I'm just going to make this thing look like it's about 300 years old, just been sitting in the dirt for years.
So this Mando found Ponda Baba's arm on the floor, took the sleeve out, and he made it his helmet liner.
That's the backstory. I love it.
Dude.
I kind of just write
after it. It was like, I'll take that. That's awesome, Raimi.
So, worked a little bit on the Din helmet. So, when I got I don't know if our listeners know, but like when you get these cast helmets, like the visor needs to be cut out. You need to kind of clean up. I went and trimmed out the key slots on the back, even though I don't think I was supposed to, but
of course you did.
Whatever. It's just about ready to go. I just need to kind of go through and do a wet sand on it, and then it'll be ready for black and gloss and chrome. I've got a lumiluster sitting out there waiting to go.
Nice.
So that's where I'm at.
And then, thanks to the process of TV magic, it'll eventually look like this. So I have that exact helmet, but this has been finished and painted by Alpha Ignition, and a lumiluster and 2K, and it's actually weathered, which is kind of cool. It's lightly weathered. You did a very good job on this, John. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
The crappy part is as soon as I brought it home and I was looking for a spot for it on the shelf, I have no spot for it. So it's just been sitting on my desk. I don't know what to do with it now.
Just put it on.
But
just wear it.
That's the worst. That's the worst. I had Stormbreaker just like leaning up against the thing. Tori came home from California. She's like, "Is that where that's living?" I don't know where to put it.
Just walk around the house with it.
You should have had it mounted just temporarily. You should have had it mounted over the bed or something.
Use it as your plate, put food on it. And
if you owned a gallery, extra holes in the wall are not permitted. So, but she gave me a nice home for it. So.
Carrying it around the house all day in your house coat.
I also was able to score, thanks to my boy Tech over here, the super limited edition Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber set from D23. However, Tech didn't go to D23. He happened to be at Disneyland the morning that the downtown Disney store was selling the extras that didn't sell at D23.
No way!
Wow.
So that's what you had him pick up.
Dude, so thank you, my brother. Thank you.
I saw the box behind you and was wondering how you picked that up.
Yeah. I will say, like, if you've ever been to Vegas and you're like, oh, I can walk to that hotel. It's just right down the block. It's not that far. And then you start walking to that hotel and you realize, I think I've been walking for at least an hour.
That's Disney.
I've made a mistake.
That is Disney. So I went inside the park, went to Galaxy's Edge, looked at the sabers, and they're like, we don't have that box here. I'm like, huh. Can you call the outpost? Because then I finally saw Steven's post, and he was, we were just talking. Actually, it wasn't a post; it was just a message. He's like, dude, it's at the outstation or the outpost
in the old Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah, the old Rainforest Cafe in
on the
West.
Other side of the Disney property.
On the other side of the Disney property. And so luckily they called and they're like, yeah, they have some, but you probably want to go like now. And I'm looking at Kim and I'm like, okay. So
and then it's a big giant box too.
so we make it there And there's not too crazy of a line, and there's like maybe like 2 or 3 people in front of us, and they're all going after that box. All of them. They know exactly what they're going for. And I'm looking at 4 boxes, and I'm seeing 2 people in front of me, and I'm like, I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get one, and they won't let anybody buy more than one, which is great. And so I get that second to the last one, right? and I'm like, score. And then I'm like, I don't want to hold this thing because this thing's like pretty freaking heavy, right? And
it's 2 foot. It's 2 foot squared, and it's 15 pounds.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, over time it gets heavy, right? And so,
well, you're at Disney. You're walking around. What are you gonna do with it?
Walk with this thing, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I could go to the parking lot, but then I know Steven was saying, hey, we can exchange it. He can come to Disneyland, and like, okay, well. But I do know that inside Galaxy's Edge at the Droid Depot, you can store things if purchased the same day. And I called, and they said, yes, we still do that. Amazing, awesome. So
then
Kim and I
back all
we got
the way.
We got on the tram. We got on the tram because it's right there, right? So the tram took us over into the park, and we didn't have to walk too far, but we still had to walk. Got to the tram by like what Autotopia, and then walk through the park, went to Galaxy's Edge, go to the Droid Depot. I wait in this line, wait like maybe 15 minutes to get to the line. And they're like, sir, because that's limited edition, we can't hold it here. I'm like, wait, excuse me? Wait, what's the difference? Well, if it goes missing, it can't be replaced. I'm like, wait, first of all, if it goes missing, that means you have poor security. Like, what? Do you have? Is there a theft problem? Like, sir, we just can't.
It's a liability.
So now my option is hold it all day or go to the car.
Oh my god,
dude!
Oh my god!
I looked at Kim and dude, I said, I like Steven so much right now. And,
hey, Steven, I know what you should do with that Mandalorian helmet.
No, but dude, I was looking at my watch. I'm like, all this walking, all this like, oh my gosh, how much time am I chewing? But I'm like, but the way Kim and I do, here's the difference. Kim and I do Disney, we go all day, so it's not like I'm missing anything.
Yeah.
We shut the park down. It was just a little bit of walking. So I said, Kim, find a nice spot, chill, because I can walk faster than you. She's got like no gait in her walk. So I go all the way back to my car. Put it in there.
That was a 2-hour ordeal, though.
It took about an hour.
2-hour ordeal.
I am so sorry, dude. I didn't know. Oh my god.
And then Steven, and then you're like, hey, dude, let's just figure out the cash. And like, no, Steven, we're good.
We'll do it later.
Yeah,
we're good.
It's like I gotta eat and drink a bunch of water.
Steven owes Tech some sushi, and we'll
no.
Come with the other stuff.
You've got an unlimited supply of Sour Patch Kids coming your way, man.
I know, dude. It's all good though. Like at the end of the day, at the end, I'm glad you get it, and you're one of the few that have it. And dude, that's
and you didn't even tell me because they're numbered, right? They're numbered out of 3,000.
Yeah, they're numbered.
You didn't even tell me I got 69.
So they said the box might be labeled, but you need to look at the actual sabers, and the number on the sabers is the real number.
Wow.
So there's a number on there, but it is numbered.
I know,
a nice low number.
I know when Galaxy's Edge first opened, I was with somebody who got John the
Grievous. No, I'm sorry. The Jedi Temple Guard mask.
The Jedi Temple Guard, and that box was huge.
I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah. Fucking carrying the
Dude,
thing
Raimi
around.
has those, right?
But
he has a costume.
The box was like 24 by 24
The box was ridiculous. Yeah,
we were carrying it around the park.
Oh, there it is.
Yes,
I love that costume so much.
The box for that thing was ridiculous.
Those that can't see, Raimi's sporting the
Temple Guard. Yeah,
Temple Guard.
mask.
Yeah.
Ooh, so good.
Dude, that's a really good story.
That was my
Joe.
first Father's Day present. That Temple Guard mask.
That's right. Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember this.
Thanks for carrying that for me.
The moral of the story. I love you, Steven.
Now that you mentioned that Father's Day thing, I remember that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I also I started. So back in the day, I used to have a 3D printing business, which I still do. Some stuff on the side, but I have some droids, some droid kits on the printer. And they're just I hate I hate printing those because they're like 70 pieces. Each kit is like 70 pieces. So it just takes forever. I gotta like.
Dude, that's how I met you. That is your DC-15.
I know. That's so crazy, man.
That's how I met you.
Before we met, I was like, Joe Lara, like that sounds familiar. And then I was like, oh yeah, cool. Tech.bad batch.
Yeah, that's a good man. Yeah, you do good work, man. I love
Thanks.
that.
I love printing things for other people, really.
So I have that on the print beds right now. But the cool thing that I am so excited for, and she's gonna hate me for talking about this on the pod. The thing that I am most excited for, guys, is after all my years in the Legion, my wife is finally building her own costume.
Nice.
I won't say what costume it is yet because I won't put her on full blast. But oh my goodness, guys, it was just like the costume she chose. It's been sitting in front of us, like, you know, the opportunity has been sitting in front of us for the last 5 years. So I don't know why it never clicked before, but she's excited about it. I am calling in all the favors from all the builders that I know that make this stuff. So
is this one that goes with a costume that you have that I actually don't know that you've ever trooped in?
Yes.
I know what it is then.
And
because it's gonna be so good. She's perfect for it.
And because she's building it, that is prompting me to. It's one of my 90% builds that I've finished for my costume. So it's causing me to finish the 10%.
Get over the edge. Build.
Yeah. So we're actually gonna have matching costumes now, which is rad. So I don't know. Maybe we'll tease it out a little bit, or
photo shoot. Maybe
I don't know, but she's excited. I am super stoked. So yeah, that's all on the workbench over here in my house.
That's good building, man.
Yeah. I think that's everybody, right? That's all of us.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's hey Echo, let's get into this.
We're being hailed. This encryption's new. This might take a while.
All right, leading the news this week. I know everybody's wanted to know the answer to this question since this time last week, but for anyone that was curious, chromemember.com is still available. And I don't know if I'm excited about that or if I'm disappointed in our listeners for not snatching that up, because we left the opportunity wide open for now, and it's just still there.
They are being very, very polite and leaving it open for me for when I decide to get it.
Okay.
You're the rightful owner.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Dad Bane is not, though. Nice. Dad Bane has been taken.
Dad Bane.
He snatched that up, yeah.
Wasn't going to let that one slip by.
While the show was happening. I did it. I've done nothing with it. Posted one picture.
Okay, so Wednesday, October 26th is the premiere date for the Tales of the Jedi show. So as near as I can tell, all 6 episodes, 3 of which circle around Ahsoka and the other 3 are around a younger Dooku and Qui-Gon. All 6 episodes drop at the same time. So they're going a little bit Netflix style with this one.
Nice.
I don't like that.
I like it.
No, I really appreciate the anticipation to wait for shows to come out. I think it's cool. I mean, maybe because I'm old and I'm
I think because the format's different on this. They're shorts, so they're not full length episodes, and there's only 6 of them. So I think the whole thing is only maybe a couple hours long total. So
yeah,
anticipation is good. So
we've got our first voice cast announcement for Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. So they've announced that Jamal Avery Jr. and Emma Berman star as Kai Brightstar and Nash Durango. So those are the first 2 confirmed. Everybody's putting helmets on. I can't. For anybody not watching, I'm looking at the stream here, and everybody else is wearing a helmet. I guess Crosshair, although he's reaching for something, so maybe. I can't do that and talk at the same time.
Yeah, you're busy.
So, and then we're going to get into something here. I'm going to get an extra thing joined onto.
Oh, yes. This is going to be awesome.
Okay.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
All right. So we talked about this last week. Steven's still ready. Everybody's wearing a helmet.
You mean you can't see it, Crosshair?
If I put one on, I would just sound like this, and nobody would be able to hear me.
I haven't seen this.
So we talked about this a little bit last week, and yes, I did gloss over it because we could easily spend a lot of time digging into some of the details here. This will be one where anybody listening might want to actually pick up on the YouTube stream, which hopefully we'll have in a couple of days. That'll show the video too along with it. So, but we've got the trailer for season 3 of The Mandalorian here, and I'm just going to hit play, and I'll hit pause when I think there's something to talk about. If you guys hear something you want me to pause and talk about, say so, and we'll get into it.
This is the one that you saved? You are as its father.
So far we're seeing existing season 2 content.
A clan.
I love that little light on the pram.
Is that a new pram, or is that from season 2?
It's a new one. That's a new one with the light.
I thought so. So we see the Mandalorian, like Bo-Katan's fit flying in.
And you are a Mandalorian.
Dude, she's back. Armor.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
That ship is so
This
sweet.
Naboo fighter flying through an asteroid field. You see Bo-Katan, looks like she's maybe on Mandalore.
Yep. Custom Mandos just all up in here.
Then we go back
So many Mandos. So many.
I love it. I really love it.
So we've got some custom Mandos. Yeah, they're bringing back some Shore Trooper armor.
And it's also the modern armor, not just the post imperial or the
Yeah, it's
modern.
like both.
Yeah, I
modern era.
like that they're doing a blend. It's not like they're just forgetting that Boba Fett, Jango Fett style armor existed. You see a blend of it. It's a mix of the modern
It's
and
like
post-imperial.
one piece, though. You see that? It's like all attached.
It's combined. You're right. There's no spacing between.
It is. I think they do that just so that they've got the right fit and
Stunt.
it wears good on everybody. Yeah.
It looks good though, and it's different than what
does.
we've seen before. And to see the different pieces and parts is
Yeah.
I mean, we got teased of it in the other seasons, and this is like going all in.
And I know this might be obvious, but when I was building my Mando, I didn't realize until I started looking at the details that there's different eras in the Mando armor, and there's spacing, and sometimes it's combined, and then Din Djarin and the whole Mandalorian opened up a whole new type of armor. I was like, oh my gosh. So I think it's really cool that we're paying attention to it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that, like I said, I like that they're not pretending that this other stuff didn't exist. They're bringing it forward and showing how the Mandos in the post-imperial era have a mix of newer armor and armor that we're more familiar with. So we see Carl Weathers in what looks like a much more developed street of Navarro here. So
is this supposed to be like several years have passed? Because now he looks like he's in a prominent position wearing different.
Yeah, it looks very regal.
He's got some robes on.
He's like royalty or something, like noble. I don't know. Like he's in charge.
Yeah, but we
know
that this is Navarro one just because Grief Karga is there, but also we see the IG-11 statue in the back, the fountain statue.
Oh.
You see the leg there standing on top of the stormtrooper helmet.
The hero of Navarro.
Our people.
Din has an R5 droid in the droid socket on the N1.
I noticed that. Yeah. This scene, dude.
So,
come on.
Yeah, but I want to go back real quick. So we see Bo-Katan's ship flying over some kind of, it looks like ruins, but the cityscape underneath there just looks incredible. And then we also see her sitting in
the throne.
The throne.
So and this room, I mean,
that's the same one, Satine and Maul.
That room, it's
Vizsla.
the same room from Clone Wars that we're familiar with. You can tell it's all done. Just a live action version of it.
Dude, this scene.
Here's the Mandos that airdrop out of the ship.
Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?
More custom Mandos.
Salacious.
So we briefly saw. Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say what you're going to say because it might be exactly what I'm going to say.
We very briefly see, and I forget his name, the scientist guy.
That's not what I was going to say. Okay.
But he's in more just like street clothes. He's not in the Imperial uniform anymore.
One of the cloners. Right?
Yeah, he worked at like the cloning facility.
Yeah.
The cadet
Right
patch.
here.
That's him right there. Yep.
That's him. And so I think we'll be seeing a revisit back to that original storyline with whatever they wanted Grogu for, theoretically, the cloning, right?
His blood.
And right there, yeah, those guys. Were you going to say something about them? Or that they look like space pirates a bit, maybe?
They do. I mean, this is season 3's version of the Kintan Strider gang that we saw in
That's what I
Book
was
of Boba
thinking.
Fett.
Yeah.
Is that who they are?
Same guy. Well, it's not the same guys, but it's
Similar.
It's on the same page, right? So this is that kind of gang look.
Can see
But
They
Hondo's
do
gang.
look a little bit more pirate-y, I will say.
Hondo's gang.
And they're not all Nictos, are they?
that'd be cool.
No, just one. Just one.
I think there's two of them.
I see a mix here, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you never know.
Hello, my friends.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So here's R5. And then earlier we saw an R5 head in the droid socket on the N1. So I'm assuming that Din ends up with the same R5 that
was on Tatooine, yeah.
that was on Tatooine all that time.
Looks like there's more than a bad motivator that's kind of messing up.
Sparking.
Yeah.
She's the best, too. Amy
I do like her.
What was her name? What's her
Sedaris?
Sedaris. Amy Sedaris.
I love the montage of building that Naboo fighter into what Din's now driving.
Dude.
That's a good.
Yeah.
It's a good
She's
scene.
the best.
Yeah.
I used to date a Jawa.
Oh, and
Babu Frick.
we see Babu Frick.
Dude, so sick.
Hey!
Everybody's gonna do that.
I know.
At the same time.
How do you not? You got it.
Hey.
And then this to me looks like Din's flying over Disneyland at fireworks time.
Mm-hmm.
So
9:30 p.m.
Rightly so.
Hang on.
That's spot 2.
Here's the cuteness.
Look how he's on his lap.
The cuteness.
He went from tapping on the glass to now being on his lap.
I really, when they blew up the Razor Crest, it was like, oh, that was such a cool
Such a
shit,
bummer.
something new. But then to give him the
The
N1
N1.
fighter, it such plays into the Western vibe of like a cowboy on his horse. Like he just has this small.
It's a one-seater.
It just it's
Or 1.5, whatever.
it's so perfect.
It's
It's fan service for us because we get a Naboo fighter, but then it makes sense that he
It's
has
a
this
tricked
like
out Naboo fighter that's super
speed.
fast.
It's like a hot
you know?
rod, yeah.
Yeah, he's
so good.
he went from having like the perfect soccer mom car with the Razor Crest, and he's got a kid, and now he's like having his midlife crisis, and he's got the hot rod, and he got rid of the Razor Crest. You know,
It reminds me.
Can't freeze a kid though.
My dad, when I was, like before I could even remember anything as a little boy, my dad had a 280 Nissan Z,
Oh, nice.
and it's like a two-seater
Datsun.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he would do the same thing with me. Like, so probably illegal and irresponsible these days, but I'm this little kid, like, eh.
It's awesome because I don't even think of it like that. I think of it more of like Clint Eastwood, like cowboy and a horse, like traveling, right? Like I think of it more of the heavy Western vibes that have been in Mandalorian since season 1. It just putting him in that Naboo fighter just like accentuates that energy. I think it's every time I see it, I'm like, it's perfect. It's perfect. They couldn't have done any better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we've kind of talked through it.
That's been the best trailer they put out in a while. Next to Bad Batch season 2.
Yeah,
Rewatch that.
I agree.
Yep.
That trailer is good too.
And so that is it for the news, with the exception of we got to see Andor last Thursday night. So I know John, Steven, and I were lucky enough to get to go to the premiere. Kind of normal Hollywood red carpet thing. I mean, we got there, we got our passes.
What's that like, guys? Like, can you like share?
It's long and there's a lot of people and you have to wait in line for hours. It's not as glamorous as it sounds. I mean, you get to do a cool thing, but you have to be there for a long time, and
a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got to walk the red carpet, although we walked the red carpet on this side of the stanchions.
On the right.
Everyone,
yeah.
all the cool people were walking the red carpet on the other side of the
Other
stanchions. So it was.
Well, you guys were dressed to impress. Like you guys had, you looked sharp. You weren't wearing costumes, right? You weren't full kitted up.
I was sort of.
Did they have full like displays or anything?
So they had the droid, B2.
Oh, that's cool.
They had the droid there, and they had a lot of different posters kind of down along the wall, and then they had 2 stormtroopers and 2 death troopers that were positioned around so that you could take pictures with.
And they had the costumes too. They had Cassian's costume.
Oh, that's cool.
On display, right?
Yeah.
Like as you walk by it.
It's what we saw at San Diego Comic-Con, right?
Same ones. Yep.
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same
I don't know
ones.
whose dress there was Cassian's costume and a dress that I'm not familiar with.
The dress is Mon Mothma's.
Okay, there.
I got to go to the Rogue One premiere, and they had a giant X-wing like in the middle of the red carpet.
Like life size?
It was life size. Yeah, it was pretty insane. And then they had a
was it the same location or was it a different location?
It was
same spot.
Hollywood.
Yeah,
It was Pantages.
Spot.
Is it Pantages?
Where
it was at Pantages
down the street. They closed the street down.
It's all the same. Yeah, they closed the street down.
Yeah, they make it like a big.
But they had a whole
I didn't know
garrison of death troopers and stormtroopers walk too, like a whole. And
it's hard from our perspective, it's hard to see scale, right? But you're there, and so when you're saying you're blocking streets to put all these things, okay, that makes sense.
I mean,
like
these premieres happen
below.
like all the time, and they kind of adapt in the ebbs and flows. And I want to say that when I went to when they had the death troopers, I want to say they had like basketball guys because they had the big tall dudes.
Because it's supposed to be that character.
Yeah,
supposed to be
Raimi. I don't know if you remember that. That was quite a bit ago, but they weren't Legion people. I know that they were definitely some alternative.
The Death Troopers at Rogue One.
Yeah,
they were tall. They were not Legion people. They were hired.
Yeah, they were tall, and they didn't know how to walk in the armor. That's a different story, but
paid actors.
But they had a giant full size X-wing that I heard was steel too. That was the other thing.
Wow.
So was not plastic or anything, but.
So Stephen and John, what was the experience like for you guys?
I mean, it was great because we got to hang out and there's a bunch of people that you might not have seen in a while, because of COVID and everything. And so saw a bunch of friends and the experience itself. I mean, Stephen and I just sort of walked in. We weren't being rushed or anything. We were kind of on our own, taking our time to check out the costumes and like take pictures with the stormtroopers. And we were like, well, and everyone was lined up that was dressed in a costume, lined up for the stars to come out and sign their stuff or whatever. And we weren't part of that. So we were kind of like, okay, I guess we'll walk in. And we grabbed a popcorn and a drink and we found our seats and just kind of waited. And, super fun. I like these smaller, intimate. It was like a small theater.
Yeah,
so,
it was at the El Capitan.
Yeah, the El Capitan.
Those seats are tiny, man.
Yeah, I mean, and we were kind of. my row was like B, so I was the second row, and I was kind of like, like my neck was.
Imagine an airplane and then a little bit smaller.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So my neck was a little sore at the end of that, but it was fun. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. I don't often get to go to these Disney premieres or these, like all these Hollywood premieres, like all the Disney stuff and the Marvel stuff and all that. But, I just feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to be invited to these things because, it's not necessarily what any of us really set out to do when we join the costume groups. But it's a nice, it's a nice perk to be able to be invited to these things. I do like really try and remain professional and respectful when I go. I don't want to be the crazy fan that's like screaming at the actors and stuff. But
that's what they want, though.
I mean, some of that's kind of expected. I mean,
not from the 501st, or not from
you had
not
you had a
clubs.
sport coat on, so you were official.
Yeah, but I did find the opportunity to thank Diego Luna for continuing to continue the story and the character of Cassian Andor, and then I was able to do the same thing with Tony Gilroy. But what was really cool is because, everybody in the crowd, they're going towards Cassian Andor, they're going towards the actors and the talent. And there wasn't really anyone talking to Tony Gilroy. So I got to actually like have a conversation with him.
Nice.
Which it'll remain private. It's not something that I'll just, talk about.
But that's kind of cool that you had that moment, right?
It was, he's a very, my impression of Tony Gilroy up until that point was that he's kind of like his personality is very rough, and that he's kind of an abrasive individual, just based on previous interviews that I've seen of him. But talking personally to him, he's very like, he's so cool. Like he's really into, he's been known to say before that he's not into Star Wars. No, like that dude, he's a nerd just like the rest of us. The stuff that he was talking to me about, he
knew details. He knew.
Yeah. It made me feel, it made me feel assured that, that part of the universe is in good hands.
That's good.
Nice.
Awesome.
So, it was just like my little tidbit of the night, which was my little slice of the experience.
Stephen, that's true. A lot of people went like straight to Diego. I went straight to Adria Arjona.
Of course you did.
I was like, oh, you did it, in Spanish. And I actually did say hi to Diego Luna as he walked by, just quickly in Spanish.
But you're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
you.
I'm like, well, he got kind of rushed away as they were.
I've been waiting at this premiere since I was 6 years old.
No, yeah, but I said hi to both of them really quick in Spanish, and that was it.
I think although the premiere was cool, watching brand new Star Wars content, before it's even released is an amazing experience.
Huge, yeah.
But ultimately, I think that my favorite part of the entire experience was having Korean barbecue.
Yes.
At the end of the evening with my friends.
I don't know. I heard the meat sweats kind of took it a different direction.
Worth it. No, it did not. The direction was always forward. Never turned back.
I've never experienced
forward out the back.
Well,
I've never experienced like getting drunk off of meat, but that's exactly how I felt.
Creatine overdose.
Yeah, the next day we were like, man, I don't like, I'm kind of a little nauseous.
It was a meat hangover.
Oh, it's like, yeah, it's the excess meat we ate. Yeah.
So,
it was worth it though. It was so good.
I didn't go to the premiere, but like I said, I went to the Rogue One premiere, and it was funny because I was like on the red carpet, like all the actors are coming through, and it was Diego, and it was what's her name?
Felicity Jones.
Felicity, everyone, I was like, whatever. And then like Bill Nye, the science guy, came down.
You're like,
and Levi, at that time, Levi loved Bill Nye. And I was like, Bill Nye, yeah, like taking a picture. No one else I cared about.
Look at my bow tie.
I just want to take a picture of him for Levi.
That's awesome.
And I didn't have meat sweats after either. So
those are worth it.
But
so worth it.
I would have liked them, but.
John, when you hit for something, and Steven, when you hit for something, meaning your age,
40 something?
Yes, you're going to start preparing for those moments where you're going to enjoy yourself, but you're going to have at your nightstand Alka-Seltzer or Tums or something ready within reach.
So you don't have to get up.
I've never needed anything like that.
Because you're not 40 something yet.
I'm 37. How close do I need to get?
Easy.
Dude, I'm telling you, when I was 36, I was in my prime, bro. Once you hit 40, it just goes straight south.
Damn.
Changes.
I've been going down for a while now, so it's fine.
That's awesome, and nothing like good food. And a good food, that's awesome to hang out at the end of a
Korean
really
barbecue
good night.
so good.
It was really good.
I don't have that here.
No Koreans out there, huh?
Anywhere.
Actually, okay, so this brings up a good topic because we haven't done any since we've started this podcast. We haven't had any new Star Wars media come out. So Andor is the first opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So our listeners know that we record on Wednesdays. New Star Wars media comes out on Wednesdays. They just dropped 3 episodes of Andor. Yeah. We're not going to be here to spoil anything for anybody. And going forward, we're not going to be a spoiler show. So we'll always give anybody, we'll give you guys some times and some fair warnings before we do. However, this evening, I do want to talk about at least episode 1 of Andor, non-spoiler. And I just want to get everybody's reactions to this new type of show, to Star Wars. And what do you guys think? Tech, let's start with you.
The first thing that came to mind, just from looking at the previews, right, which everybody's seen, the trailers. I mean, it's preparing you for grit, and that word grit is exactly how I would describe the feeling. When you watch Star Wars, there's humor baked in. There's a flow to it, and it's very George Lucas, right? If you look at anything he's done before Star Wars, whether it was American Graffiti and whatnot, he had a certain way of telling stories. And then you've had these new directors come in and tell different versions of his massive story. This is in a direction we've never been, at least in storytelling, and I'm 100% for it. I would say if I had young ones, I'd be as a parent, as a dad, I'm going to watch this late in the evening. I'm going to be very cautious with who's present, and it's not like gory, and I don't want to paint that picture. It's just adult themes. And
I absolutely agree. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The show, a lot of the internet chatter right now is that it's boring. And
what?
Yeah, and what I think is that when you mentioned adult themed, I think it's just because it's intellectual dialogue.
Yeah, it's not just action,
and visual.
Dude, the visuals are beautiful. I mean, the colors,
it's a slow burn.
The layers. There's so much to look at. You don't even have to listen to it. I mean, in fact, you could probably just have it on and just watch it visually, and it's beautiful. It has Star Wars written all over it, just from the visual side. But the pace and the topics, I mean, as adults, there's certain times when adults get together and there's kids around, and you say, "Hey, kids, you need to leave. Adults are talking here." This is this is adults talking in these episodes. Yeah,
this is my mom and dad's Star Wars. Like they get to watch it, and they can put it in their rotation of CSI and and the Americans, and then now they can have Andor.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm all in. I've only seen one episode though. But
Brian, what'd you think?
I'm in the same boat as Joe. Squeezed in one episode this afternoon when Levi got home from school. It's like no other Star Wars that we've seen. It's very, 3 minutes into it, just visually, the sets and the costumes and just the like energy and vibe that comes out of it. You're like, oh, okay, this is different. This is different Star Wars, which I think is really cool. And much like I think Joe talked about before, how, in Star Wars A New Hope, how Obi-Wan just says, a comment about the Clone Wars, and then this whole thing like opens up. We had this little bit of Cassian Andor in Rogue One where he said, you know, I've done things and whatever, and I've been in this since I was 6 years old. One episode, we have this giant story that's starting to evolve. And what they've already said, they're working on a second season. Like, it's cool that we can have cartoon Star Wars, serious cartoon Star Wars, kid versions of movies, adult versions of movies, adult TV show. I mean, it's just like
It's amazing.
The stories are spreading across the gamut. And I am the one episode, the family and I watched it, and we were in. And, you know, like Joe was saying about the kids, like I'd say it's younger kids, and I don't know where to rate it because, you know, there's some kids you see they're 8 and they're watching Deadpool, so I don't know. But like,
that's where the parenting has to come in and step in and decide that, right? It depends on it depends on what your kid has seen. In my household, it probably would have been like 12 before Levi would have been interested in probably what she's watching. Now she's 15, she's stoked on it. Yeah.
But so far, one episode, I'm giving it the models. All of them.
You know, I think it's interesting because I was rewatching the Obi-Wan Kenobi Return of a Jedi.
The Jedi's Return, something like that.
the documentary for the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah,
and there's a part in there where Ewan McGregor is talking about how when the prequels first came out, you know, critics were just bashing it. Everybody was bashing it. But for the kids at the time, for the little children at the time that were watching it, this was their Star Wars.
Magic.
And part of the reason that he came back to revisit the role of Obi-Wan for the show, the main reason was for those kids. Because now that those kids, back in 2002, you know, 20 years later, they've grown up, and he's making a show for them. And I was thinking about that as he was saying it, and I was thinking that, you know, Andor, this is the Star Wars for the children who saw Star Wars in the 70s and the 80s, who have grown up with it, right?
100%.
They've grown up with the franchise, and now they're in their 40s and their 50s. And now this is something that they can find interest in, because it is more of the adult storytelling. And I absolutely, Brian, I think that it's definitely going into in a way where you can have Tales of the Jedi, you can have whatever that toddler Jedi show, that animated show that's coming out that John was talking about.
That we'll watch.
Yeah,
too.
that absolutely we'll watch.
Yeah, it's content. It's content.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and when we say adult, it's not like adult like graphic. It's like
adult
espionage, and it's like these. It's like the things that had to happen for the other movies to take place that never really get dived into, and that's what Rogue One was so awesome about. You know?
There's a quote in the Andor trailer where Saw Gerrera says, "Let's call it war." That sums it up, because that's what this is. Yeah.
Totally.
John, what did you think?
Well, episode 1, I thought it was like you could feel the tension. It was very tense. Because right away, right away he walks in and there's already trouble, essentially. You know, there's crap. There's these, you know, these people
shady. Yeah,
and as soon as he walks out, more trouble, and then the thing happens, and then he goes back, and he's basically trying to cover his tracks the whole time, you know, without giving away too much. And it was just, you could feel the tension, and it didn't. While it obviously felt like Star Wars, it also felt like something else. You know, we also got some Blade Runner vibes in that opening, you know, segment.
A little bit of Tron.
Story of Rogue One, right?
A little bit of Tron Legacy too.
Yeah. But and I just liked that you could, like, because it was the tension that kept me kind of like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Like, oh my god, this happened. Now, you know, I know we can't spoil anything, so I can't express myself. Yeah, exactly.
It's you trying to find the words. Yeah.
But it keeps you focused on it, because it's kind of like, oh, what happens next? You know, for me, it grabbed my attention a lot, and I liked that. It was good.
You don't want to blink.
Yeah, you don't want
to blink.
Yeah, don't look down.
Well,
basically.
and also too, as costumers too, like we always are like, what?
Dude, there was
And
so
then I
much
always love
texture. in
Lots
this
of
costume.
texture. I was just going to say that. Lots of textures.
I love
jacket.
I love
The jacket,
aliens.
especially. There's so much on it.
Gloves.
What?
Like it's just
Everything. All the
So many
colors.
gloves.
The hard
So many
hats.
gloves.
You know.
I mean, yeah,
Workers' clothes.
You talk about the tension, and it's like this is. I think it's perfectly Tony Gilroy, right? So, Bourne Identity, the whole Bourne
Franchise.
series.
Yeah.
Bait. Let's see, what else has he done?
It has spy feels. You know.
Michael Clayton, Duplicity, State of Play. It's so intellectual. It reminds me of before the Winter Soldier came out, how everybody was like, "Oh, it's going to be a Marvel spy movie." This is it. This is the Star Wars spy.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a departure, and it goes back to what we talked about on the other thing we recorded. When he came out on stage, he literally they thanked all of the cast members and everything, but then he had the opportunity. He thanked Disney for taking a chance on this.
Yeah,
right. Like
I was very surprised.
The
at
gamble.
content.
yeah,
yeah. Big
This
gamble.
is totally a show that I would expect to find on HBO,
Mhm.
Hulu.
Mhm.
I mean, just visually,
Netflix.
Netflix.
Everything
Visually,
but Disney.
visually, it doesn't look like Disney Plus. It doesn't look like any of the Disney Plus shows. Content wise, it doesn't look like anything Disney Plus.
It
has come out
reminds
with
me of
before.
like Daredevil on Netflix.
Yeah.
When you said that he did Born Identity, I could hear Moby Extreme Ways, that theme song playing in the background. I mean, it just fits the vibe of it fits.
So,
Raimi, go ahead.
So the other shows that we've seen on Disney Plus, the Star Wars shows, were all done in Manhattan Beach Studios on the volume. There were some real sets, like in Tatooine was a practical set for Obi-Wan, for example, and but this one was all shot in Pinewood Studios in the UK.
Wow.
It was there's no volume there. This was all done practical and with sets. And on locations.
That's why it looks so cool.
Do you guys think that made a difference and translated?
100%.
I didn't know that,
Opening
Raimi.
scene.
I didn't know that, but it had a depth to it.
It's all
world
practical.
building.
There's no. I mean, look, what they can do with the volume is amazing, and it absolutely makes good on what Lucas wanted. You know, all those years ago when he wanted to do Star Wars TV, but didn't have a way to do it on budget.
Yeah.
This makes that possible, but it's still. I mean, it's still a video game engine, and it's still CGI, and what it can do is amazing, but it doesn't quite compete with the practical effects.
It's not the real thing, right?
Yeah,
Pretty quality, I'll say. One episode in, so I mean, if that's setting the tone, I mean,
I'm watching more tonight. As soon as we're done here,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch at least one more episode.
I'm gonna have to catch up over the next couple of days.
So what we'll do is, I think if you guys agree to this, I think that maybe next week we can do a full spoiler review for episodes 1 through 3, and then we can do a non-spoiler review for 4.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Do it.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do and then on the new Star Wars shows that come out from here on out, we'll probably do the same thing, unless it's Bad Batch. Full spoilers on Bad Batch.
Yeah.
All rules go out the door.
No excuses.
Bad
Yeah.
Batch.
Kind of,
Yeah, stand by.
All right, guys. Well, Raimi, thank you for all the news updates. That was jam-packed.
For your information, the stinger of a Yalbek queen is a delicacy on some planets.
I just watched that scene and they said that. In all fairness, they were trying to mate with us or something like that. I was like, what? And then he busts out that line. Go back and look it up.
Oh man, the scenes. Yeah. So I asked the listeners, and they always come strong and quickly. There are at least like 20 great questions when I asked, and I know from the Dad Batch pod Instagram, a bunch of questions came pouring in as well. So thank you so much for doing that. And you all delivered. So I have at least two questions that I pulled from, and this first one came from Miss Sophia WQ, I believe, and this is for you all batchers. What Star Wars character do you relate to the most? Relate to?
I think Kanan Jarrus for me.
Okay, now what is it that makes that connection?
Well, he how do I explain this? He went through some adversity in his life between having to escape the Order 66 and all that going on, and him basically becoming disabled. Not that I'm not disabled in any way like that. Obviously, I'm not impaired, but I've gone through a couple things in my life where I thought I was dead and came back from it. I don't know how deep we should get into this, but nothing crazy. I mean, sort of crazy, but whatever. When I was 11, I got run over by a car, like pretty gnarly. Yeah. It's not something I really ever bring up, really. Yeah. But
wow, this conversation took a turn.
Yeah. It was really gnarly, and I mean, I came out all mangled, and I recovered. So that's kind of like, he lost his vision and found a way around it. Not, and what I went through was not necessarily, obviously it's not that, but,
so heavy though, man.
No, but yeah, that's my answer, I guess, without.
I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that, John.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a heavy question, but thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Trying to find a way to relate to him. I like him a lot. He's a good Jedi. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Who wants to go next?
I'm trying to think through the possibilities. It's not, the character that you relate to. It's not necessarily the one you think is the coolest or the one that you've got the costume of.
I don't even wear that costume anymore. Haven't worn it in 2 years.
I in my head, I keep kind of coming back to Han Solo. And I'm not sure I can entirely put my finger on why. I mean, look, in The Force Awakens, I mean, Han is clearly willing to do anything for, the love of his son. Even though he gets,
and that's an evolved Han, right?
There's so much growth there, right? And because, when you're young and you're first having kids, nobody's ever really ready for what parenthood brings, but Han, both between what we know in the films of his character, and then what they've gotten into in the books, like he was not ready to be a dad. And then we see all of that growth in him when he's willing to do anything, even, take his own life for his son, because he knows that'll move his son in the right direction.
The sacrifice. Yeah. Wow. I was not expecting this question to go so deep, but wow.
Dude, this is tough because there's like, you think you're like, oh, I want to say whatever.
I'm Darth Vader.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's not the answer. The answer is not going to be the guy with the cool costume or
so that's
it's usually a sad story
for me when I'm trying to like think about it. Not even sad, but when I think about it, I'm like, okay, and of course I'm just going through the main characters of anything to try to think, and I would say Finn, just because he's trying to get away from bad things and be a part of good things. And then also desire to be accepted, right? And to be a part of something bad, which is what he was a part of. Not that I was ever a part of anything bad, but just wanting to be on the right side.
That's why Finn moved to North Carolina.
And looking for that acceptance. I don't know, a fly just landed on my computer screen. I don't know. Random. But yeah, that's kind of a weird one. That was a weird one.
Okay. No, I like it, dude. I like that answer.
Yeah.
I mean, This is cool. What I love about this podcast, man, is the secondary effect of us learning about each other from a different lens, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about costumes and we talk about all kinds of really cool things all the time, but this is a cool direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven.
I kind of felt
Plo Koon.
I gave it a lot of thought, and then I was like, oh, Raimi said Han Solo. That's what I was going to say.
You can say it too.
It can be Han Solo.
Yeah.
But completely I say Han Solo, but for completely different reasons. So in my younger life, I did anything I could to let me see, how do I say this? I was much like Han Solo, where I was just doing anything I could to.
You're hustling.
Yeah, I was hustling for sure. And I mean, talk about scum and villainy. Like,
You were a nerf herder.
I had no consideration for the things that I was doing in order to get like a sale done, or to.
Don't throw yourself under the bus.
Get yours.
Yeah.
But then, much like Han Solo found a greater calling with, the rebellion and with Princess Leia, that kind of happened to me too. And it's weird how your whole perspective on life can change so fast.
What's awesome is the redemption of him when he gets that, and it surprises everybody. I'm going to lead the assault on Andor. I'm going to take. I'm not leaving. I found my purpose. I found my tribe.
Yeah. What's Daisy Ridley say? The smuggler? No, the war hero or whatever.
Yeah.
The general, whatever it is.
Yeah. At a certain age, I mean, we're all like that at some point, so I get it. But no, it's
good
cool.
questions, man. These are
Joe didn't answer.
Those smuggler skills still come in handy occasionally, Steven.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, what's your answer, Joe? What's your answer?
Obi-Wan?
Tech.
So
We already know this.
What would you say? What is it?
Bendu.
Bendu. Yeah.
It is Bendu now. So I had a chance to look at this question. That's why I was kind of, call it cheating.
Oh, that's
whatever.
true.
I had access to it. So
Cheater.
in my real world, like tech was kind of what I used to do, but that's just what I have. I'm not like him at all, as you guys
That was
know.
literal. Yeah.
But the first character that came to mind was Waxer, which is why I chose him. If you follow the Ryloth story of these two guys, Boyle and Waxer, going through this battle-torn village, and they stumble across this little girl, Numa. Man, that hit home so close because that's happened to me in real life. And I'm kind of a pushover when it comes to kids. Like they win me over. Like, what do you want? Here, have it, and they're so innocent and they have no idea, just the way they see the world and the way we view the world and screw things up as adults. That was an immediate correlation. But I found like now, and I'm still not, I wouldn't consider myself wise at all, but I've definitely grown a ton since I've left that world behind me. And I find myself as the Bendu, which I love that character so much. When you watch Rebels, if those of you that are Rebels haters, I would ask you to consider trying it again. That's it. I'm not going to, that's it. And there's this really cool characters, and this guy, he's kind of like, good, bad, evil. I'm above it all, right? And so I'll hear fighting online from people hating on certain Star Wars content or certain styles of costume building, whatnot. Like, what? It's whatever. Get over yourselves. At least that's in my mind. I don't say that, but in my mind, I'm thinking that, right? John. So yeah, I would say I'm closer to the Bendu today.
Balanced.
But I'm willing to stand up and become a big thunderstorm and, mess with Thrawn a little bit. No big deal. Spoiler alert. Yeah. So, dude, guys, thank you so much for. That's a heavy freaking question. Thank you so much, Miss Sophia WQ.
That was a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, that was deep.
Very cool.
Should we do one more or just kind of move on?
Yeah, what else you got?
Let's do one more.
Yeah, I don't know.
One more.
All right.
All right.
This is actually something a tip as costume builders, as costume wearers, those that troop and wear these things for hours on end. As someone looking to cosplay, so somebody who's not into it at all, they're just kind of, it's the unknown. How can you keep your kit from feeling so heavy? Because I think they probably see some of us like sweating when we take off our buckets, just like pouring sweat. And I can see why that would kind of set people off in a negative way, or in a bad way, I should say, of being cautious with it. So I guess what would be your tips or advice?
When I was building costumes before the costuming clubs, it was for my love for the character, and it was whatever could get the job done. So I've done Ghostbusters proton packs out of cardboard and wood. I've done costumes out of foam and cardboard. And when costuming is your priority, when the character is your priority, comfort is your priority. So use whatever materials you can: cardboard, foam. My wife did a T-1000 costume with the eye blown out and all the bullet holes, and she made all of that stuff out of Crayola paper foam. So it's like it's sculptable foam.
Wow.
But I'm sorry, paper clay. It's sculptable clay, but when it dries, it's as light as paper. Just stuff like that. Just whatever you can do. Go to Michael's, go to Joann's, and whatever, you got to experiment. You got to you got to be creative, and whatever is comfortable.
I think that's the key word right there, is make it comfortable. And that's not always the same as making it look perfect. There's a little bit of, so, I mean, look, I'm going to tell on myself here. Right. And when we're working on somebody's TK, there is a point in the build where we're saying, we're going to take your pictures, and this is how you're going to submit, and we're going to submit this TK. And then as soon as it's approved, we're going to come back and we're going to keep working on it, and we're going to make it comfortable, because making it pass for approval and making it comfortable are not always the same thing. And that's not to say that we're trashing it and making it not look like a TK anymore, but there are you need to go through and kind of trim out the butt a little bit and trim out the back of the legs and be able to, so that you can really move around. And as soon as you can move around, and it goes to some of the other stuff that we had, because we had a similar question a few weeks ago. And Brian was just like, wear it. But that's really it. It's like, you've got to wear it. You've got to get familiar with it. You've got to figure out what adjustments do I need to make to it so that I can live in this thing. And then you're having fun, which also takes your mind off of the fact that it might be pinching you somewhere or whatever. And so there's just a lot of things that you can do to kind of make it physically comfortable, but then also mentally something that you're enjoying, so that it takes your mind off of any discomfort that it still puts on you. Because there's some things you're just not going to get rid of. It's going to get hot. It's going to, if you've got like a big backpack, sometimes that is going to be heavy, and there's not necessarily anything you can do about it. But if you're having fun and it's otherwise comfortable, you can deal with some of those things.
Being awesome is hard.
Yeah.
I said that last time, dude.
I say it all the time. It is advice.
You're saying deal with it?
You want to be a pro basketball player. Like, you don't just snap your fingers and you're it. It takes work. You know what I mean? And just like you're saying, like costuming, it's just trial and error. And I think what Steven was talking about, Star Spangled Comet, who was just on Armor Party with Honda Supply. She talked about her just love of a character and just doing it however she wanted to do it, or however she knew she could do it, how she could figure it out, because that's just what she wanted to do. So Google, YouTube, Instagram, and just do it.
Yeah, that was going to be
literally, that's all it is just doing it. Like, because you can't go from A to Z without going through the whole alphabet. You have to go through the whole alphabet.
I've been on troops with you as your Vader, where you've made like modifications literally while suited up. Like you've trooped in it as Vader. You got dressed up, and then you took a break because you were like, "No, this doesn't feel right. I'm tired of it. Let me fix this right here and right now." And we've slapped on Velcro and we've manipulated things for the comfort. And you know what? When you get back out there to the troop, you still look like Vader.
Yep. Which is more of an internal thing.
Yeah.
But you got to do it.
John stepping into
Amy's
dad
here.
mode. Amy, yay! Does she have a glowworm?
No, it's a baby shark that's lights up.
Oh, okay.
Baby
I
shark.
love- Baby
We don't
shark.
allow that song on this show.
While the rest of us are all singing it.
Yeah. Aw.
Our ears are bleeding now.
Yeah, I hear it a lot in this household, so
That's okay. We
become
all have
just neutral for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good. Amy, hello.
He's being all shy.
I see that.
But I'll answer also. I think the question was how does someone get into it? How does someone start from scratch or something?
Well, like help. I mean, it's about keeping it light, the kit light, but I think it's also tied to the unknown, right? Because they've seen us wear our kits, and they've seen us how we kind of sometimes suffer through things to look, wear the costume.
Yeah. I would ask questions like whoever are your favorite cosplayers or content creators or whatever that make costumes and stuff. Ask questions. Send them questions or ask on their YouTubes if they do tutorials and stuff. If you're still not sure about something or you're not getting one specific thing, just definitely ask. And the worst that could happen is maybe they don't reply, or maybe they say, I spent a lot of time doing it. I don't know. If someone doesn't give you the answer, someone else might. So don't be afraid to ask questions and,
facts.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So
That's
I everything y'all said, I don't really have anything to add, but just to kind of summarize what I heard is sometimes, oh, she's so cute.
Yeah, baby.
Wear it. There might be, there's going to be definitely things that you figure out in the process of wearing it, pinching or ways to make things lighter, adjustments. So you might very well have a version 2 or version 3 of that build. Now here's the other baby.
Yeah, my X-Wing pilot.
Oh, that's cute. Is it wearing orange?
Yeah, he's wearing an X-Wing pilot.
Rebel orange.
That's awesome.
It's my
And
own
then
clothes. Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, there's some sacrifice that I think we all, it goes along with it. Like, and I'm not going to say it the way Brian said it, although what he said is right. To look the proper way, you sometimes kind of suffer a little bit. Like I know I get some serious headaches from wearing this helmet on my head, pushing in on my forehead. Sometimes if I'm wearing a certain helmet, it's pushing on my nose, and I can pat it all I want, but it's still.
But
squeezing.
you look awesome.
And you know what fuels it? Brian, you said it last time we were talking about this, the reaction from people and playing the role, playing the part takes away from the pain and it's kind of a distraction from the discomfort.
Yeah. And I was going to add, so there's with dressing up in a costume, there's a degree of anonymity that you get that honestly helps you overcome the anxiety that you might have that would have otherwise made you nervous about doing something like that. And even if it's not like a helmeted costume, like I'll do Darth Maul in full face mask. I have walked up and interacted with people who I work with at my company, and they didn't know it was me until I said something. I was at WonderCon in Darth Maul, and you might have been with me, Brian, or I was on my way to or from Tori's place. It was that year at WonderCon,
the gallery,
and I ran into I hear a mom saying, "Oh, Sammy, look, it's Darth Maul. It's your favorite character in that." And so I crouch down and I'm talking to the kid and everything, and I look up and I realize that his dad is one of my coworkers who has not figured out who I am in that. And so in my best Darth Maul voice, I say to the kid, I'm like, "So what would you think your dad would say if you realized he worked with Darth Maul?" And the guy kind of looked and he sort of squinted his eyes and that, and just, you saw the light. She's like, and so even and put a helmet on, and it's even more. And so you can kind of have fun and almost you feel empowered to do some things that you normally wouldn't be, on character 100%. For you, because there's this level of anonymity in the costume.
And I think
that's fun.
I think that's why this. You go ahead, Steven.
No, I was gonna say totally. Like, if my wife takes me to a nightclub, I'm like scared of the dance floor. Put a scout trooper costume on me, and I'm leading everyone on the Cupid shuffle.
He'll dance. He'll dance so far until he blows his knee out.
Baby, don't hurt me.
And I think that's why. I think the costuming clubs too, and just people that gravitate towards cosplay in general, they might, in a normal social situation, they might be kind of awkward. And I've actually met people in the community that are very, secluded and introverted, right? That's the word.
Yeah.
But then when they're in the costume, it's like it changes everything.
Like an alter ego.
It's like you're a different person, especially when you have a helmet on too. It's like, it's like people that wear sunglasses all the time. It's like, well, you can't see my eyes, so you can't. It's just it's a different thing. And then once you learn, the good thing too is if you learn to be comfortable with the helmet on, what's the difference if you have it off? So maybe it helps you open up and be a little bit more outgoing without it.
I would agree with that. At least with the folks who you share that common bond with, right? Like the other troopers and stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I would say if the costumes going back to the question, making it light, if it's really heavy and it just is what it is, interact with people. Like once you see them smile and you interact with people, don't stand off on the side and just stand there. Like become the character, interact.
That's the worst, is when you just have to stand there even at events too, where they want you to stand in front of a certain thing. Man, luckily I'm always usually Vader, and I just want to walk around.
Yeah.
I'll just pace.
It's a different vibe, and you forget.
Yeah.
Honestly, you just don't realize that it is kind of heavy and it's uncomfortable. You just have fun. Have fun with
Who
it.
sent in that question, Tech?
That was Wayward_VOD. So thank you so much for those questions. So many good questions.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But those are two good ones.
Save some for next time.
Yeah.
Republic, Empire, what's the difference?
Conversations with Crosshair.
How you doing, Brian?
Not much of a conversationalist. I just watched season 7 just a minute ago, so that was it. That's all I got.
Short and sweet.
Hey, he's on point with the character.
Brian, you are so Crosshair, bro. Why don't you say Crosshair? Why don't you say I'm Crosshair?
That's all I got today.
Well, that pretty much does it for episode 8, guys. Thank you for listening to us. If you like what we do, give us a good review on your podcast app. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot of stuff growing there. You can email us questions at dadbatchpod@gmail.com. Go on Instagram. You can follow me, Stevie.kicks. John, where can people find you?
At Alpha Ignition.
Joe, where can people find you?
Tech.badbatch.
Brian, where can people find you?
Dad.Bane. I only have 39 followers. Can we get this up a little bit more here?
39.
That's weak.
Dad Bane. I got one picture.
Everybody go follow Dad.Bane.
Dad.Bane.
Remy, where can people find you?
thedadbatch.com.
That's it. Thank you again, everybody, for listening to the Dad Batch podcast. And until next time, enjoy your spice responsibly.